Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's the first pod of the second half of the season. Much to discuss here on this Monday. Full house. Dallas is here. Jayhay's here. Joey's here. Jake's here. We got to do a podcast together in Dallas, Tejas, which was, as always, very memorable. Very, I wish we could do that all the time. I love the in-person podcasts. I love the trips that we get to go on, the content that we get to make, which is rare, you know, because of geographical locations for everybody in Dallas's job being all over the world. The next time that we'll get to be together, hopefully will be the postseason. And it's shaping up to be an interesting playoff picture. I know the Red Sox have, you know, in one weekend have fallen out of the playoff picture for, not the picture, but a playoff spot. But it'd be a very exciting BID playoff content cycle. If we can get the Red Sox in there, we can get the Guards in there. The Braves will be there. I don't know about the A's. I mean, half a season left.
No, we still have games left on the schedule, but we're going to be playing baseball till the end of September. So
not mathematically eliminated. Still in it. Hashtag still in it.
I'm not going to tell you to not count us out. I'm just going to tell you that, you know, probably a longer shot than some other options you may be mulling over at this point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh, and Jared, hit the breaking news button because we also, as we saw on the rundown today, we're getting close to the trade deadline and things may be heating up towards the end of the trade deadline. I don't know if you guys heard that or not. That could be something that happens, though. Could you imagine that as we start to get closer to the deadline where you're not allowed to move players or acquire players anymore? That could start to be a thing that ramps up. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for the trade deadline.
All in.
I'm excited for the trade deadline. My guy, Craig Breslow, still has no idea what he's going to do, but we're excited. You know, that's the exciting part. Anything could happen. Welcome to Boston. Anything can happen at the trade deadline.
From what I'm hearing, they're super interested in making some assessments on how things may go. So
how's that like new ballpark in Vegas doing? Didn't they say that like no one's paying for it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not on that committee. I can't. So I can't.
You see
discuss.
that story? You see that story? They were like, like the funding for the new ballpark in Vegas. Like everyone was looking at it. You paid for it? I thought you were paying for it. You paid for it?
Oh yeah, no.
I thought you guys were paying. You paid for it? So they're gonna open up this like $6 billion stadium and no one wants to pay for it. That Sacramento, baby, we might be here for a while. The Sacramento A's. That is, I know that they said that they're not committed to becoming the Sacramento A's. They're just going to be the A's. They're not going to be the Oakland A's. They're not going to be the Las Vegas A's of Sacramento. They're just going to be the A's. It might be Sacramento for a little bit, Dallas. I would get comfy there if I were you.
Again, you know, well, the great part about being where I'm at right now,
which is where are you?
Stockton, California.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm an hour from the Bay. I'm a half hour from Sacramento. If I'm
third
in
most
LA,
illiterate city in the country.
That's not true because numbers change and over the seasons,
you're right. That's fair.
People get educated.
Yep. Or maybe they don't.
Yes. So you can't say that anymore. But look, stuck in the middle.
You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. How's your ass by sitting on that fence, by the way? I feel like you're in a tough spot right now where you're going to be, moving to Sacramento is, by the way, I know I'm not big on geography. How far is the trip from LA to Sacramento driving? Is that a flight or a drive?
Well, you could do either. It's a 52-minute flight from LA to Oakland or LA to Sacramento, and it's about a 5-hour give or take drive from LA to Oakland or LA to Sacramento. It's also a 5.5
Boston
hour
to New York.
Yeah, it's also a 5.5 hour drive or so from LA to Las Vegas.
Y'all got Amtrak or no?
From Los Angeles to Las Vegas, they are putting in a high-speed rail system that is supposed to be completed by 2027, I believe.
Perfect. So not in time for this.
So you will then be able to, well, based on the timelines, Jayhay, that train system will really have a year's worth of running under their belt by the time a potential ballpark is built in Las Vegas. So
Joe, where are you at on trains, brother? You like trains?
Never been on one.
Wow. Okay.
What?
You got to have a train experience. It is, it's just different. It's, I would say out of all the forms of travel that exist, I'm a train guy. I'm
a big caboose guy, tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to sit on a train, right? They got great internet. Sometimes I don't even think you have to pay for it, to be honest. A plane, you got $10, $20, depending on the airline. Delta, I think, is 10. American Airlines is like 30. And then you go on a train, you get high-speed internet. You get a booth to yourself, depending on the capacity. There's a very decent chance that you're not sitting next to anybody, and you can walk through the cab. You got a little bar area. It's beautiful. Like, you should get your ass on a train, Joe. Actually, let's see if there's an Amtrak that goes from wherever the fuck you live to Boston. We'll get you here.
Yeah.
Let's do some Fenway Park content.
Well, we should do do an episode, since we have great Wi-Fi on these trains. We should just do an episode with you guys cruising from A to B on the train.
Did you know Coley and Tyler did that? They went. This was like before Coley was comfortable flying, and they took a train to the All-Star game, which I believe the NBA All-Star game, which was in Atlanta, and it was like a 22-hour train or something, and they podcasted for the entire time. Do you remember this, Jake?
Yeah, that was an all-timer.
Yeah. Was it 22 hours?
I don't know if it was that long, but I remember the train episode for sure.
Yeah. So this has been done before by people in our community, the underdog community. The participants, at least, have done train podcasts before.
We don't want to go off on a tangent. It's a Monday. We got a lot of things to get to here, but can we just discuss very briefly what goes into getting comfortable flying? Because when I hear that, I laugh, because I know ultimately what it comes down to. And it's just you finally being willing to say, if I die, I die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's it. There's no getting comfortable. Like, you're not more comfortable with it today than you were. Yes, you've made the determination that if shit goes wrong, like if a flat tire situation occurs, it's over.
I think you just got to read the statistics. Like, you're way more likely to die in a car crash than a plane crash. Like, once you're reading the statistics on it, you're like, all right, I like my chances. But for me personally, I'm always ready to die. I remember when I flew to, where were we? We were going to Arizona for the Biebs Cy Young announcement.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the worst turbulent flight I've ever experienced. Like, women and children were screaming, crying, throwing up. Even men were clinging to their seats. And I was just like, la-di-da, because I'm pretty sure I mean, this could be wrong. I mean, this could be on me, but I read a statistic that no plane has ever like crashed because of turbulence. So I was just like, I mean, whatever, dude. Like, I like my chances. Like, turbulence isn't going to take this thing down.
I don't know how accurate that is.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Dallas, it's true. When the plane crashes, it's usually just a smooth ride. And then 1 second, it just crashes. There's never a bump.
Can air turbulence cause a plane to crash? Turbulence may be incredibly unlikely to cause a crash, but there have been reports of mid-flight terrors of late. An Air Europe flight from Madrid. People are probably listening to this on a plane right now, just being like, I need to know.
Like, what the fuck are we doing right now?
Can turbulence ever take down a plane? Aircraft are designed to take the worst that turbulence can throw at them. Unlikely turbulence will ever destroy an aircraft. Yeah,
destroy. I'm not talking about the plane
it's
being
not gonna take it down. You're being
due
a
to
bitch.
high wind.
It's not the typical cause of plane crashes, I think, is what we can center on here, right? It's not.
And I think if both engines go out, the plane can still glide. Like, if both engines go out, like, you're pretty much good.
That's
like, you might lose a couple people, but like, you're not guaranteed to die even if both engines go out.
That's basically what happened on my trip back from Texas. I think both engines went out, and we just glided into Hartford Airport. They were saying we might have to go to Boston. We might have to go to Boston. Weather, turbulence. We're landed. It was like, it's crazy.
It was very smooth.
Yeah.
See, we got a guy, our Brody Brazil, the brilliant Brody Brazil, who does the pre and post game show for the A's. He does pre and post game show for the San Jose Sharks. On NBC Sports California. He is a pilot. He is a pilot instructor. So he's taught pilots how to fly planes. And this is a guy who I absolutely, we need to have in the middle of this discussion right now. It's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to tie him in because he could answer a lot of this.
I love how at the forefront of innovation the A's franchise is, where they're saving money by having a guy do double duty as commentator and pilot.
Pilot, yeah.
Well, pilot teacher too.
Yeah. He's just like, all right, game's over. All right, I'm going to head over to the plane, get it ready to go, get it gassed up, and then I'll see you guys over there.
Yeah. And by the way, final thought on turbulence. You can definitely get seriously injured during turbulence. Like, you can hit the ceiling if you're not wearing your seatbelt.
Nobody's disputing. Yeah, that's why I tell you to wear your seatbelt.
Yeah, definitely wear your seatbelt on the plane. I know there are a lot of wise asses being like, oh, if the plane crashes, is the seatbelt really going to save me? No, it's so you don't snap your neck on the ceiling if there's bad turbulence. But yeah, like, I've never been more at peace than in a screaming plane that felt like it was going to fall out of the sky. I was just like, just
let it be, let it be.
No, that was actually the Titanic theme, but I watch the Titanic every flight. If it's over 3 hours, you're getting Titanic mixed in there. You got to do it.
Most of my plane related anxiety is about like, is there going to be room for my bag? It's got nothing to do with like the plane crashing or surviving the flight. It's like, I'm not going to be like one of those losers who gets their bag checked. We have to go get it after.
You're worried about that.
Yeah. Also, final note on this topic. If I ever do die in a plane crash, you do not have my consent to post this on the internet.
Oh, no, this has already been clipped.
Yeah. Do not clip this.
No, this clip is going to feed our families. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have my permission, and my family wants privacy right now. So don't post this. The MLB season is in full swing, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Speaking of taking a little risk here, a lot of people yesterday, the Nick Castellanos home run going over higher on 0.5 home runs. A lot of people made that, and a lot of people cashed out. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em games is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball or mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. How many people were tempted to or did get in on a little Nick Castellanos action after Joe Biden dropped out of the race? I feel like that was an easy Nick Castellanos hire yesterday.
Yes, there were many, many people. You know what's funny is it is such a conversation now around every ballpark, anytime something of like mild magnitude in pop culture occurs, everybody's like, well, did Castellanos homer?
Well, yeah, we're going to get
what happens now.
We've got a list of every event. We're going to talk about it. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $250 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. So, if you live under a rock, then you're not familiar with the fact that anytime a major event happens or a death or something unfortunate happens, that Nick Castellanos will homer almost instantaneously. This is from Mobland Redux on Twitter, just a Guardians fan. This is not like a prominent Twitter figure. It's just a Guardians fan that put together this list. Here's a list of all the Castellanos home runs during significant events. It obviously started with the apology in the booth. The the clip went viral. What was that? 2020?
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah. The career-threatening injury for Fernando Tatis Jr., a eulogy for a World War II veteran, a 9/11 tribute video package on the air, apology of opposing team's coach getting a DUI 10 minutes after Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, Dwayne Haskins' death, a Memorial Day tribute package on the air, a eulogy for a just-deceased PA announcer for the stadium, cancer announcement for his team's owner, Vin Scully death announcement, an hour after the death of Queen Elizabeth was announced, a bridge collapse killing several people. That was what, in Baltimore, the Baltimore area? The Ocean Gate submersible explosion, 3 other celebrity deaths, 2 home runs on the anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the day of the assassination attempt on Trump, and then maybe a couple hours after Biden withdrew from the presidential race. Nick Castellanos homered after all of those events.
He is
Inevitable.
some sort of oracle from the future who has been sent back to perform, and basically he's like the almanac. Like he's waiting for someone to understand what's going on with him and bottle him up and then start asking questions about the future. Like, all right, look, how you feel today? What the fuck do we got going on? Because if you're feeling good, if you're feeling hitterish today, I'm staying home. I'm keeping family in the house. Like I need to know how good you're seeing the ball right now, Nick.
Has he ever commented on this? Like, I can't recall an interview where someone asked him about this and he said something about it. It's been going on for 4 years, and I could be wrong.
I mean, how do you even answer that question? How do you even?
You gotta laugh, I guess.
How do you even address? I mean, but like, sure, you laugh but there's some dark shit that's in there as well, right? You're not just laughing off like oh man, a bridge fell down and everybody was okay. People lost their life, and like there's major tragic shit. But it's like you said, we got a track record now of this happening. I
mean, there's got to be close to 20 events on here. Like it's like, and in the beginning, like when it was like 4 or 5 things, we were like, that's crazy coincidence. Now it's, I mean, the fact that if I am any sports book and something bad happens, I'm not allowing anyone to take action on a Castellanos home run. You just can't take it. How are you going to take it? You're just giving away money.
Yeah, and I would want to know, like Nick, now that you understand what's happened, like, is there something to you that says, got to go deep today?
Yeah,
got to give the people what they want.
I would imagine that if he hasn't had some sort of comment about this, that he
knows.
Well, it's not that he doesn't know. It's that maybe he feels uncomfortable talking about it. Because how do you not?
That's what I mean, is how do you address that if you're him? If somebody asks you, do you realize that every time something major happens in pop culture, like, really something tragic happens, you end up homering, like on the day or shortly after?
How have you not done a video about this, Joe?
I've done TikTok. about it.
Well, TikTok, I mean, listen.
I'm not sure it deserves an entire video.
Are you shitting me?
Nick Castellanos, the Black Widow of baseball?
Yeah, like 20 different events. If you detailed every single time that something bad happened and he homered, and you showed the homer and you showed clips of the historical event, that would be, I mean, you have a case for a top 5 baseball doesn't exist video?
Joe, think about how many, what you got to look at is how much time occurred between each moment and then the home run. So like at most, how much time has gone by between the moment that occurred in our society and then the Castellanos homer? Like, has there ever been more than like a 5-hour gap between something happening and Castellanos homering? Like, that's where
I'm
the research
sure, man.
goes.
Like, dude, tragic shit happens every day. A lot of this is obviously just people looking for Castellanos to hit a home run if something bad happens.
No.
I don't even really count, but Joe Biden dropping out of a race, is that tragedy? I don't really count that, but it's already the meme. So you're
fair. Wow,
like,
I love Joe pushing back, not just taking this for what it is.
Wow.
Well, and also he did acknowledge it. The Bat Boys asked him about it on the field one time, and he basically said what I said. He's like, dude, it's just I hit home runs sometimes, and it just happens. If you look into it enough, you'll find a tragedy to associate it with. There are crazy examples. There's a lot. Like, first of all, him hitting it during the announcer apologizing and the memorial for the World War II veteran and the announcement of the guy getting a DUI. Like, when the announcers are talking about the tragedy and he hits a home run, that's the Castellanos meme. That's the shit that he's actually, that's the insane part, crazy coincidence part. But when Joe Biden drops out of a presidential election and he hits a home run 3 hours later, it's like, all right, man.
Yeah.
I get it. We want to get tweets off, but it ain't.
I'm with you there.
I can't agree with that. Just because it's not like people forgot about it and then it happened. It's like, oh, the Castellanos thing. Like, Biden dropped out of the race and my timeline had more tweets about Castellanos than Biden, and then he homered. It's not even like it wasn't even like after the fact, like, oh, he did it again. It was Biden dropped out and baseball Twitter was like putting my fucking mortgage on a Castellanos home run today. And then he did it.
I'd like to see those tweets. I'd like that because if they were predicting a Castellanos home run and there was like everyone was doing it, I just don't know if that would qualify in my brain of like that's some big tragedy. I don't
know who this is. Actually, they follow me. This is a Detroit Tigers fan. Does Locked On Tigers, the podcast. Everyone knows the Locked On for every single team. Scott Bentley tweeted placing a mortgage on Castellanos home run after Biden dropped out.
Well,
and
he called it,
Ethan, this person follows me as well. Ethan Folden tweeted, quote tweeted Biden's tweet of dropping out of the race and said, taking out a second mortgage to put everything on a Nick Castellanos home run next at bat.
See, like if Joe Biden died and they hit a home run, I'd be on board with this. 100%.
I guess. It's more just like it's a historical event. It doesn't have to always be death.
Joe's here for blood, and that's it.
Yeah, like Chris Rock slapping Will Smith is not a death. It's just a big.
I won't count that either. I don't count that one either.
Yeah, did he homer right after that?
10 minutes after.
Oh yeah, that's fucking awesome.
10 minutes after.
Oh, that's great. I'm with you, Joe. Not on the tragedy tip. It's not tragic by any means. That's the coincidence, but the Castellanos, what everybody associates it with is like terrible shit happening in the moment. And oh, by the way, this fucking guy just homered, so we got to not talk about this right now. I got to tell you that he homered, and then we can get back to this.
I mean, if you just search mortgage Castellanos, you'll get a ton of tweets from yesterday. Like a lot of people were tweeting, I'm putting the mortgage on a Castellanos home run today. And then it happened. Some of it may be a stretch. But when you call your shot beforehand, like that's, this is what it is. Some of it like is a reach. Like I think the one about like the Tatis career threatening injury, it's like, all right, maybe that's a stretch. But the fucking Titanic submersible, the bridge collapse, the Trump assassination attempt, like Castellanos home run. Crazy.
If I ran a sports book, I'd be leaning hard the other way. I would say this trend's bound to snap eventually. Get all the money back. Get all these suckers to bet the next time. Yeah.
You imagine that? Like the Trump assassination parlay boost. Adding Castellanos for an extra plus 200.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They got to lean into it. Like it's I would say maybe people would say it's a little tasteless, but I mean, no one, it should be like no one dies, but like,
just to be clear, Joey's joke is its own thing. I wasn't saying that they should lean into people dying. I was saying that
that's what I said. I was like, like it could be, like someone gets in a car crash, but it's fine. They're okay. And it's like, all right, like,
it'd be a difficult one to navigate, I guess, now that we're kind of talking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys go ahead and tell me when you're done with that.
Yeah.
Maybe the juice isn't worth the squeeze on this particular promo idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you hash them out in meetings beforehand. Yep.
That's why we got to talk it out. So maybe don't do that. Or maybe do it. I don't know. It's got to be the right set of circumstances.
Probably not.
The second half opened with a head-to-head 3-game series between the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros over the weekend in Seattle. Game 1, Luis Castillo on the mound. It really came down to just one big inning, but I don't even call it a big inning. It was the Astros had the bases loaded in like the second or the third and cashed in on that. Ended up being a 3-0 ball game. First game going to the Houston Astros. The second game, also shout out to Hunter Brown, pitched on Friday, looked good. throws a lot of strikes. Like he does. I wouldn't say like Hunter Brown is someone that paints. Like he's going to feed you fastballs, and there's just not a lot that the Mariners did with those. Like
they got some
middle
swing
fastballs.
and miss.
Yeah, I mean they're moving. They're definitely moving, but they're catching a lot of the heart of the plate. Mariners not doing much with it. Second game of this series. I didn't see as much of this one, but this was I know Hader got the save, which was nice for Houston. And with the win, this was the first time that the Astros were alone in first place for the season after being 10 games back. They went on Saturday to be alone. And then on Sunday, you had the Yordan Alvarez cycle where he hit a home run that like StatCast had at like 387 feet, but it went off the facade of the second deck. Like I think that they maybe got that one wrong. Had the double in his last AB, and the triple was what took out Julio Rodriguez. Ball went to kind of left center a little bit. J-Rod tries to make the catch. Both of his feet get stuck in the padding, but it was his right ankle. The left ankle is what got really stuck and tore the padding in the fence. But the right ankle got stuck a little bit, and he ended up coming out of the game. But X-rays are negative. They said it's kind of just like an ankle sprain for right now, kind of day-to-day situation. Astros kind of mounted a comeback a little bit. I think they scored like one run in like the last like 4 or 5 innings or whatever it was. So they were kind of chipping away towards the end, but Munoz came on for the 9th, punched out the side, and the Mariners were able to salvage the series to hold off the Astros, and now they are tied for first place after this 3-game set.
And it was, I mean, George Kirby threw the ball well. That
was Saturday, right?
Saturday. Saturday. It was the bullpen of the Houston Astros that was able to come in and hold it down. We've talked about what this Astros team has been able to do, and the main takeaway is still the fact that they are doing it without a full roster. They're doing it without a complete bill of clean health. And for them to have made up the ground that they've made up in this division without a clean bill of health, in my opinion, should be very scary for anybody else that has divisional aspirations. Because if they get the guys back that are on the mend and they are performing even close to what you would expect or hope for, I don't know who stands in their way. The Mariners could keep playing baseball the way they are right now, and that's not going to work out. That's not going to get it done. The Astros take the division. And for the Astros to have gotten themselves back to what I'll call sea level, slightly above, during all of this, that is what Joe Espada was talking about. That is what I was talking about a month and a half ago when we were wondering whether or not this team was just going to be mailing it in or being a listener, a very interested listener at this time of the season. And here we are, closing north of a 10-game gap without full health, and you are now squarely, in my opinion, squarely in the driver's seat of what you want to do. If you want this division, it's a move or two, and it's yours. And it's not to say that they even have to make any crazy move, again, because of who they're getting back. Like, what's tough is for Kyle Tucker, because correct me if I'm wrong, there's not necessarily a timeline of return for him.
I haven't seen one.
This wasn't it's not a broken leg, but we're talking about a deep, deep, deep bone bruise that is preventing him from doing what he does. So should you get that dude back, when you get that dude back, and he continues to roll, that's another offensive addition on the heels of what you're hoping to get back rotation-wise. And that's, again, those are all in-house answers to what the Astros have going on. We have still not gone outside of their organization.
I hate to be like repetitive on the topic of the Mariners, but like you guys outlined, they had a couple of people throw the ball pretty well. The Astros bullpen was a difference maker, et cetera, et cetera. the Mariners offense failed again fundamentally. Like, they're not scoring enough runs. You can quibble with the individual outcomes of these games, but I believe, what did they top at? They topped out at 6 runs in the win on Sunday. They had 0 and 2 in the other game. So we're talking about 8 runs over the course of 3 games against your division rival, with the control of the division in the balance. That's just not good enough. I mean, if you go back to June 19th, which is when this Mariners swoon really truly started, that's 26 games. They are 9-17 over that stretch, and they rank last in batting average. They rank 29th in OPS. The only team with a worse OPS over that stretch is the White Sox, who for all intents and purposes really shouldn't be counted in these sorts of stats. And they have the highest strikeout rate. Like, really, truly think about that. They have the worst OPS of teams that are taking themselves seriously, and they have the highest strikeout rate. That's an untenable combination. It's also really bad baseball to watch. A team that doesn't put the ball in play, doesn't hit for power, and because you don't slugging percentage, 29th. So they don't hit for power, they don't hit for contact, and they strike out a lot. It's a miserable offense. It's been a miserable offense. The idea that we're still waiting, I know you guys detailed that he's now banged up. The idea that, like, we're still waiting for Julio Rodriguez to turn this season around, I think it needs to be viewed more as like whatever bump Julio provides in the remainder of the season needs over what he's done so far needs to be considered a win. He's not necessarily getting back to borderline MVP caliber Julio this season. I'm not bailing on the guy long term, but this is obviously a problematic season, and the rest of the offense sucks, as we've outlined. They just released Ty France, who's
put him on waivers.
What's that?
They put him on waivers. Did they outright release him?
Sorry.
Yeah.
They've said goodbye, for all intents and purposes, in the immediate future to Ty France's contributions to the Seattle Mariners MLB team. His performance has degraded considerably over the last 3 to 4 seasons.
Did not have a hit in this series, by the way.
Yeah, just not good enough at a position where you should be getting a good amount of your offense. He's their first baseman. Like, he can't hit like a shortstop because too many other people on this team are hitting like a shortstop. I think it would be a baseball malpractice to not add offensively to this team and to give this rotation a shot. And it just feels like we're having the same fucking conversation about the Mariners that we ended up having during the Felix Hernandez era as well. And that's got to be incredibly frustrating for a fan base whose frustrations, admittedly, I don't think we give as much credence to as maybe their misery deserves sometimes.
But if I were to ask you, Jayhay, the top 10 performers by OPS in this Astros Mariners series.
Yeah.
Top 10 by OPS.
Just this 3-game series?
Just this 3-game series.
Yeah.
How many of them were Mariners?
I'll say 9. Oh, I'm sorry. 1.
7.
7 were Mariners?
Yes.
Wow. Got to win those.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, it's not like the Astros offense went fucking bananas in these games either.
No, and once you get towards 9 and 10, like Julio Rodriguez was 9, it was a 582 OPS. But you had Yordan Alvarez had a 1500 OPS in the series. Dylan Moore, who had the RBI triple. Victor Robles 1145. Polanco was 1144. Luke Raley 821. So, I mean, like, they had guys that to some degree did some damage, but, you know, they got, like, game 1 was that one big inning, and they didn't score any fucking runs. It's not like both of the first 2 games were close. So the second game was what, 4-2? And I want to say the Mariners broadcast on Sunday made an error and said, like, oh, this is the first lead of the series for Seattle. Didn't Seattle have a 2-1 lead on Saturday?
Yeah, they were winning.
Yes, they were. Through 6 innings, they were winning.
Yeah, on Sunday, they were like, oh, this is their first lead of the series. But I was like, that's not true. They had a lead on Saturday. It was early, but they still had a lead.
I just did some quick math. The Mariners were 2 of 13 with runners in scoring position over the series. That's both obviously miserable, but also not that many opportunities with runners in scoring position over a 3-game series either. So that's troubling on both ends. Yeah, I mean, I think we've been sort of cresting towards this point in slow motion for like weeks or a month, but I it's probably not breaking news, but I do think the Astros have to be considered the team to beat in this division moving forward, both given the play over the last 2.5 or so months of the season, what Fangraphs projections say, which is now 53-40 to win the division, which is certainly the type of gap that could close in a week, but definitively in the Astros' favor at this point. Yeah, it's got to think both are in the market, though.
But before I cut out, who are the Mariners? Are the Mariners 2 players away? It feels like they're a lot more than that. And you could give me 2 arms. You could give me 2 guys in the lineup. I don't know what more arms is going to do for them right now. You have to put runs on the board. You have a pretty good idea of how you're going to be able to prevent the run scoring. And that's fantastic when we get into October. You're also going to have to score at least 1 run to win those games. And that's a tall task right now.
I hear your point on whether they are 2 offensive pieces away from really being a World Series contender. They are tied for the division 65% into the season or wherever we're at. They are clearly invested in the present to win. If we're not going to add to this team right now, then what is the point of having these pitchers in the first place? Like, the offense sucks, but you got to make it better right now because the pitching staff is what it is. Your record is what it is, and the division is what it is. It is still there for the taking. If you erased how we got here and just said that we are 100, what's their record? 53-48. So 105 games into the season. We have 57 games left, and you are tied for the division lead, or by games, technically, I believe, slightly behind by win percentage. That would not be a devastating turn of events for the Mariners to find themselves in. So it's still there for the taking, and that's how they need to behave, as far as I'm concerned.
They have the best rotation in the American League, second best in baseball behind the Phillies.
So with that being said, is there anybody in that rotation? And I've got a guy. Is there anybody in that rotation, if you're the Seattle Mariners, that you feel like, you know what, we don't want to get rid of any of these dudes, but there's one guy I feel like we could part ways with.
You want to do the reverse Cespedes? You want to give up a middle of the order bat to get a proven starter? You want to do the reverse of that?
You talking about
giving up one of your guys, one of your starters, to get a nice middle of the order bat?
When you apply this, yes, when you apply the Cespedes thing, I thought you were talking like specifically about that scenario and about the team specifically, because I am thinking about a player who wears green and gold, who is a middle of the order bat.
Brent Rooker?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't have to give up like one of your blue chip front of the rotation guys to get Brent Rooker.
No, I understand, but the asking price from Oakland, we don't know what that's going to be.
Yeah,
and
you're not going to just give him away, but it's not going to cost one of your starting pitchers.
Like Brian Wu.
Yeah, I think generally there would have to be considered to have a fit there, right? Like Brent Rooker is underrated at this point. He would be the best. Like, there's no way around it. He would be the best offensive player on the Mariners right now.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
There's only 2 teams in baseball that have a worse OPS than the Mariners this season, and they are 2 of the most horrid teams that we have seen in quite some time: the Marlins and the White Sox.
Yeah, like so. And this is a team that's taking itself seriously. They're 5 games over 500. Those 2 teams are fucking jokes. They're not.
This pitching staff, Jayhay, you like, if you're trotting these guys out, if this is who's running out there every day for you, 5 days in a row, that's what it looks like. You have no choice but to take it seriously, because these dudes are giving you a chance to win every day. Every day they're giving you a chance to win. Even with this lackluster, like, witness protection program offense right now, this team has a chance to win ball games based on who is starting on the mound for them. So you have to figure out a way to make those outings impactful, because otherwise, to your point, Jayhay, what are we doing here? What is our approach here? To go out there and pitch our ass off and hope we score 3 runs and hope we give up 2? Like, we can't get to October like that.
Unfortunately, the Mariners right now might be looking at this and think, wow, we're in the perfect spot. This is what we wanted to be. I mean, they're the same team that said, I forgot what they were, their GM was like, our goal is to win 92 games every single year.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to get better or worse. We just want to stay at 92. Their mindset might just be like, we got the best pitching staff in the freaking MLB right now. Why don't we just keep these? As long as we keep these guys, eventually we'll go in the playoffs one of these years. If we just make the playoffs most years, and then we'll get hot one year and win the World Series. That seems to be like their strategy.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't add any hitters.
And not to paint with a big broad brush, but that kind of goes back to the conversation we've had about teams being okay with where they're at roster-wise and being okay with where they're at standings-wise, because they're look, give me the 6th spot. I don't care. Give me the 6th spot. Just an invitation to the dance. However I get there. If I got my makeup smeared and I'm carrying my shoes into the dance and I'm all by myself, at least I'm there. At least I'm there. Because my other friends, they're at home. No makeup on, no shoes on. They're not even at the dance. So I don't care how I got here and I don't care what I look like. I'm fucking here. I'm in the building. That's what I think a lot of teams are sitting on.
It's not even like you can point to one person that's not carrying their weight. If you break it down by position, and I did outfield as a whole. So the outfield is grouped together here. Every single position, including DH, you are bottom 3rd in Major League Baseball in OPS. Like, you're not getting offense from anywhere.
Nowhere.
Anywhere. Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, this guy's dragging us down. It's like, no. Like,
and I'll tell you right now, what happens is after a certain point in time, and it probably already feels this way for the guys on the pitching staff, is, all right, boys, you know what we got to go out there and do today. You know it's, and when I say a quality start, it's 6 innings or more out of you. And if we give up 3, don't expect a W. Not telling you that we're going to lose the game, but individually, you can't expect the win. So, however many innings you can get for us, that starts to wear on a group.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're certainly up for the challenge. It seems like they're tied for first place in the second half of the season.
Done their job.
They're doing it with little to no help.
But they're still on tightrope. I mean, like, seeing Julio Rodriguez get hurt, at first it kind of looked like he was like really bad. Like, if Julio Rodriguez went down, they'd be cooked. Absolutely cooked.
I mean, yes and no.
Well, that's the thing, is there's not one player on this team right now that if you remove him from the lineup, you're like, oh, well, now we have no shot.
Except,
but who's that guy?
J-Rod. I feel like they're like relying on, they're like hoping. Remember last year, the Mariners were pretty bad all year. And then J-Rod had like a 3-week period where he had like a 4,000 slugging percentage.
Yeah.
And totally just like brought the Mariners back basically on his back. It seems like they're kind of counting on something like that with the offense. I mean, he's the one guy who can go nuclear. And if he goes nuclear, that could win the division. Who knows? I could also see also see the freaking Astros. I could see the Astros like winning this division by like 10 games now.
10
well, absolutely.
Games?
Joey,
Yeah.
And the Julio Rodriguez thing, this is what you got to understand about that dude is he very well may turn it on. You know what he instantly becomes is just the dude that we don't let beat us. That's fine. Julio, you can't hit a 5-run homer. And the numbers tell us you don't have anybody on base when you do take your at bat. So go ahead, hit all the solo bombs you want. Have at it.
The Seattle Mariners are 3rd in Major League Baseball with a 3.47 ERA, and they are 28th in baseball, averaging 3.83 runs per game. So the margin for error is
can't happen.
Yeah, it's less than half a run.
Think about that. You're going out there and giving up just over 3 runs, and you ain't winning ball games at all.
Yeah. Yep. And now, I mean, like the whole thing about, we need to add offense. Like you could pick any position where you need to add offense, but first base now being freed up with Ty France being placed on waivers, it's like, all right, well, the whole pipe dream of Pete Alonso, I just don't think that that's going to happen. Like even if the Mets, like, we'll get into the whole trade deadline stuff, but it seems like the Mets, even if they did sell, are not going to trade Pete Alonso. Like they're just going to be like, yep, this is our guy. We're going to try and re-sign him in free agency. And we've seen other teams trade their guy. And then it opens up a whole, especially a player that only knows one organization, not to go back to the John Lester Cespedes trade. But his words were, before that trade, I thought I would never put on another uniform. And that trade to Oakland, being forced to put on another uniform, it opened my eyes to, like being in another organization is not so bad. And that changes a guy's perspective going into free agency. Like if they had just held on to him and gone down with the ship in 2014, last play season, you hang on to Lester, you probably re-sign that guy. Because he's telling you, yeah, I don't know. The idea of going to another organization doesn't really appeal to me very much. But you trade that guy, he sees it's not so bad. Well, guess what? Now he's like, someone comes correct with the right payday. Like, that's where I'm going to go.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes is getting over that initial apprehension of what the grass is going to feel like, whether it's greener or not on the other side. Always kind of remains to be seen until you're living in the moment. But that is the initial apprehension is I'm comfortable. I know everybody here. Everybody knows me. There's no questions. And you have to start that all over again, right? It's a whole nother courtship of sorts heading to a new place.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. But first, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Shout out to Game Time. You got to go to the Home Run Derby a week ago today. Wow, time flies. That was already a week ago. Pete Alonso, not so good in that Derby, Jayhay.
No, it wasn't. I mean, some people deserve to be there. Some people forced their way in, and karma said, "What up?"
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, shit.
Save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. Save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats for you. They've got all-in pricing. You toggle this feature and it shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, your Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code BID for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Dallas, did you get one of the BID Section 10 things that were on the fence there for the Derby?
No, I did not.
Jayhay?
I did. I stuffed it in my carry-on.
Oh, what are you going to do with it?
I think it's going to go up in the attic here where I record the podcast. I'm thinking of making it part of my backdrop here.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very cool. Maybe
cool.
Here on the side. I've got some room to work with, but it's definitely going to get used.
Did you get one, Joseph?
No.
Why not?
What are you talking about? BID Barn Dog shirt?
No, not the shirt. The big banners that were on the fence for the Derby.
Nope.
I didn't get one. No one. I didn't know those were up for grabs.
Oh, those were up for grabs.
Joe, I think we probably had to sign out for one of those on the rundown that we got. We didn't have that option made available to us.
And
it's just at this point you kind of get used to disrespect. So
I was the last guy at the house. I had to close the door.
That's
literally.
false.
What do you mean it's false?
Oh, last guy to leave the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. No, you were the last to arrive, but you did make a grand entrance. We all were very excited you were there.
Mm-hmm. We were. Joe's not excited about this Ozzy Albies news though. Fractured wrist. I miss 8 weeks. But you signed Whit Merrifield. Released by the Phillies, picked up by the Bravos. How do you feel about that, Joe?
I like that revenge game. Revenge player. He hates the Phillies. We got their secret weapon. Now we all know all their secrets, all their signs exposed, all the tendencies from the pitchers, all that little inside information, maybe some dirt on some of the players' personal lives. We have it.
Joe, what do we make of this if the Braves are able to go on a run here no Ronnie, no Albies.
If they go, like, you mean a World Series run?
If they win the World Series and they do it in years without Ronald Acuna Jr. and without Ozzie Albies.
Yeah, well, I mean, what would I make of it? I just would be happy, but I don't think it'd be an indictment on Ronald Acuna Jr. or Ozzie.
No,
but it would be bittersweet. I mean, the first World Series a little bittersweet too. Just not to have Ronald Acuna, for that to happen twice would suck.
I got a question for Joey though, because as important as Ozzie Albies is, I actually would be more, if we're talking about championship equity, I'd be more concerned about the Max Fried thing.
Yeah, that. I agree with you there. That's a little harder to replace a starter as good as Max Fried. I mean, our starters have been great this year, and the injury with Max Fried's a little like vague. No one really.
Elbow neuritis. I don't even.
Yeah,
what is that?
That's nerve inflammation. So you have nerve inflammation in your elbow. Does everybody know about a nerve in your elbow?
UCL.
The ulnar collateral nerve. So that's why I think people start to get a little panicky, myself included, because it always feels like when stuff like this pops up initially, teams are like looking at shit. They're like, all right, we got to call this something, but we can't call it fucking Tommy John. We can't call it the elbow. Is there a name for, like, how do we tell them that the elbow's hurt, but we don't panic anybody? What do we do? Can we call it a flexor tendon or a flexor bundle? Well, like, how do we label this? So it's the neuritis, if you will.
Yeah, it was a little weird because apparently he felt it in his elbow warming up for the All-Star game, still pitched the All-Star game, which people are like, why the fuck would you pitch the All-Star game if your elbow hurt? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to make a difference. I mean, I saw stats like there's been people go down with the same injury before. I mean, some of them have missed like 2 weeks. Some of them have been out for months and are still not back. So, yeah, it's
that right there, Joe, that is a very, like, it's a real question to ask. Like, hey, man, so you were warming up and you felt something. Nothing? You just kept going? Just like all good? And what that tells you initially is, well, I wasn't too scared. Like, maybe I felt this before. I've had this issue before, and I knew that I could throw through it. I knew it wasn't a big deal. It's fine. Okay, well, now we're on the other side of it, and you haven't been able to bounce back. And we're now on the injured list. Like, we're now trying to recover from this. So I think we've learned our lesson in that regard. Next time this pops up, we're going to go ahead and pay attention to it. We're going to respect it. But like, I would be frustrated. I'd be upset. But I also think, just side note, this is why the conversation around performing in the All-Star game, whether you're a hitter or a pitcher, and the feeling of participating in the game comes with so many different perspectives, is because of stuff like this right here. I want to pitch in the game. I've been acknowledged. I also have a championship season that I have to concern myself with too. I have to find the balance between what I want personally, what I want to do as a teammate, and now I have to balance that. And here we are.
I find the Braves situation leading up to the deadline to be fascinating now too, when you couple basically this pair of news items that we received. I mean, they are almost certainly going to make the postseason, right? But they have almost zero NL East division equity left to squeeze out. Okay, so you got that combo going. You also have like a core of players, like the core of players who are remaining on this team are very much in the ready to win right now category. Like Matt Olson, Austin Riley. It's not the end of their primes, but Matt Olson, Austin Riley, certainly Marcell Ozuna, almost all of the complementary players offensively, certainly Sale, Morton, Ronaldo Lopez might have a nice run, but he's squarely in his prime right now as well. And it's like, so you've got that going, but you're also missing your most outstanding offensive player, you know, your third or fourth or fifth most important offensive player. And now you're missing a guy who would undoubtedly be contributing in a postseason series in terms of starting on the mound for you in one of those games. So it's like, how do you balance that if you're Anthopoulos? Are you aggressively buying to patch those holes? Are you kind of holding back because it's unlikely you're going to get out of the wild card spot in terms of seeding anyway, and you just kind of play the hand you've been dealt this season, maybe regroup in 2025 to a certain degree? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I do think it's fascinating though.
This is where I think the playoff picture benefits a team like the Atlanta Braves, because they don't, as you said, Jayhay, have the NL East equity built up. They're chasing the Phillies, which is like chasing a non-existent tail, in my opinion.
Yeah, Fangraphs has basically 90-10 to win the division.
Thanks for coming. So for the Braves, what they can do now is, I don't want to say rest on their laurels, but where things look in that big picture, they're comfortable. So they don't need to panic and go out and make a move to enhance their run to October. They're going to be there. It's now about how they feel they need to shape themselves up once they're in October to be able to perform. Because when you look at the injuries that they've sustained right now, you have no Ronnie, done for the year. Ozzy, 2 months, right? And then from there, where's fucking Michael Harris the second or the third?
He's still multiple. I saw 2 to 3 weeks away from like the rehab assignment, right, Joey? Something like that.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying. When you're going through the lineup, Jayhay, like you don't have, like, in terms of the core, you're missing a third of your core. A third with Ronnie, Ozzy, and Mikey Harris, right? Like that's a third of your lineup, a third of your core that's just not there. On top of no Strider, on top of now no Max Fried. Like it is you are limping in to October. You are limping down the stretch right now.
The good news is, as long as we get Ozzy Albies and freaking Michael Harris back before the playoffs, it probably ain't going to make that big of a difference, as long as they're like actually healthy and good enough to play in the playoffs at a good level. Because I think they're going to make the playoffs no matter what. I think Max Fried is the biggest freaking question mark. And yeah, that's terrible timing, because the Braves, the lineup this year has been shit. I mean, they were the best lineup, best offense, arguably in history last year. This year, you lose Acuna. Matt Olson's having a down year. Austin Riley struggled for the first half. Like, it was just always a way worse lineup. But their pitching, starting pitching right now with a healthy Max Fried, is probably the best it's been during this Braves run of like them being good again. This year is probably our best starters, just because we got Ronaldo and Chris Sale is about to win the Cy Young. So we had the starters, and like you were banking on that like all year. I'm looking at the Braves playing, under their level, Phillies dominating, kind of being like, good, I kind of like this shit. Who gives a fuck we don't win the division? We have 4 legit ass starters to go into these playoff series in a way that we didn't have in the past, even without Strider. Like, I was feeling good at it. This Max Fried injury, though, is actually concerning if it's bad.
Well,
and I don't know what they do. Maybe they trade for another pitcher, but that doesn't even seem to be their main problem right now. It's the offense.
So I can't speak for everybody on the roster. Obviously, I know a few of the guys. Matt Olson is one of those guys that I know very well, and I know that Matteo got that dog in him. So mindset wise, the pressure of having to win the division alleviated, gone. That's not a demand at this point. So does it free them up? Does it allow them to sort of take a playing with house money mentality? Like, hey, we're going to October. Don't know if we should even be there, is sort of what you can tell yourself based on all these injuries that have happened. But we know who we are. We know that we're a resilient group, and we know that when we start clicking, shit can get tough for our opponents. So maybe there's something to them not having to live up to the expectation of the big bad division winner of the NL East and being able to sort of play an under the radar underdog sort of role, trying to take on the Phillies, who have just completely run away with the division. Sort of like, we'll see in October.
Well, what history says that could be a good point. I mean, the one time we did, when we had the best team in baseball, they went to the playoffs and got bounced when they were totally forgotten, barely made it. They won the World Series. So hopefully that makes us, chip on our shoulder. Little Atlanta, the little engine that could, the Atlanta Braves. Who would have thought? Everyone doubted us. And look at us. We're going to the playoffs. We're going to be first. And I don't think Max Fried elbows even hurt that bad. I think he's going to be chilling. I think, to be honest, it's a really, really good Phantom IL. One of the most deceiving Phantom IL placements of all time. Dallas thinks the guy's getting Tommy John. I mean, that's just great front office work.
No.
You got to trick him, think it's serious. He needs a little break. I mean, the Braves all year, if you've been following the Braves, like they haven't even really been trying to win that bad themselves. Like they've used a 6-man rotation the entire year. I think their game plan all year was like, if we get to the playoffs with all our starters healthy, what we have right now, we have like a very good chance to go deep. That has been their goal, to like limit the innings of these guys. So hopefully, I just think the odds are low, but maybe it's just a fake injury and everyone can chill.
Joe, you know what, Joe? Not enough people are talking about the ties between old Snit and Alex Cora and what he was able to do with Chris Sale and those built-in off days. And we don't have to talk about how that worked out, but it's now you got
worked
Chris
out with
Sale
a World Series title for the
in
record.
Atlanta, and maybe they're like, hey, look, we had some built-in off days, and things went well. Maybe we start to build in some off days here for Maxey. I'm just saying. So Joe, can't completely just put that to bed. You might have something.
I'm hoping. That was my first instinct. When I saw it, I was like, this is fake. He pitched 2 days ago in the All-Star game. How could he be that hurt? If his elbow was really hurt, he's going to pitch through that in the All-Star game. So it's a fake injury, guys. If you're a Braves fan, it's fake. Don't even think about it. Don't even look up on the internet what the injury is. Don't talk to the doctors. Don't listen to the doctors on Twitter. He'll be back in 2 weeks. And maybe we'll get Jock Peterson at the deadline, and we can just run it back. I mean, this season does feel very similar to 2021. I mean, they got Eddie Rosario back last week. Adam Duvall is on the team. Jock Peterson might be a trade chip. I mean, it could just be the exact same playoffs and season as 2021.
We've heard it here from shoeless Joe Brumfield.
I got some, maybe it's not breaking news. Maybe it's not hitting the siren breaking news, but Dallas, this is kind of right up your alley. What just came across my dashboard. We all know Fuzzy, the baseball YouTuber. We met him 4 years ago, whatever it was. He just posted something on Twitter.
Oh.
This is absolutely unacceptable behavior from Zach Hample. He just committed the ultimate YouTube sin on a fellow creator. He put a copyright strike on my editor's channel for posting a review on Zach's career. It was 100% fair use, and we can't allow people to bully others. This is the email. Hi, Pesky Talk. We received a copyright removal request for your video. Based on applicable copyright law, we removed your video from YouTube. Video title, Baseball's Most Hated Fan, the Zach Hample Story. It used footage of Zach Hample from his YouTube channel. This means that your video can no longer be used on YouTube, and now this is a strike against Pesky Talk's YouTube channel. Fuzzy goes on to say, who do you think you are, Zach Hample? Please restore Pesky Talk's video immediately. You are actively trying to ruin someone's life over a fair use video, which is illegal, by the way. Wow. A disgusting act by Zach Hample. It sounds like on the internet right now.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't be the first time a guy sucked in real life and also sucked on the internet, you know? Wow. Color me blown away.
What a trash bag.
I mean, Joe loves the guy. What do you have to say about this, Joe?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, Joe.
I don't like the move. I don't like the move, Zach. I got to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. As a baseball YouTuber, Joe, you've got to pick a side.
YouTuber,
yep.
Taking down big claims based on using your clips, I would say I haven't seen the video. I probably falls under fair use. I doubt he's. Yeah, I don't see how you could use your video like in a way, but I think it's blatantly like someone made a video that kind of pointed towards a lot of people not liking you, maybe some instances, and you're like, well, fuck you out. Let's take the video down. I could take it down. Take it down. But, you know, if you get criticism, you should just let it ride, Zach, man. You know, you have fun with it. Let Pesky talk. I wouldn't. Why are you trying to ruin Pesky Talk's life?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
this guy,
free Pesky Talk.
His life is over right now as it stands. And
like what the strike means? What 2 more and he can't make shit anymore?
Yeah, it's not really the issue. The issue is he can't make money on the video. I'm not sure if it was a copyright strike or just a claim. If he got 3 of those strikes, copyright strikes, yeah, his channel will go down. That's probably not an issue. It's that he can't make money on this specific video.
How is this even left open to interpretation? Like this is the YouTube world where one user or creator might feel a certain way about it, so he can do this, and then it's up to YouTube to figure out who's being a little too aggressive or not in this. Like, how does this work? What?
It basically works. If someone uses a video, your video that you made, you filmed a Dallas Braden day in the life video, and someone made a video about Dallas Braden, so they used all your footage and talked over it. Mm-hmm. Like, you would have an option in YouTube because it would flag it like, is this guy stealing your content and re-uploading your video, kind of making it seem like it's his video? Or is he... So if that's the question, they'll give you the option to take it down. Or he's just using it to show background footage, fair use type. We're just talking about Dallas Braden. We're using this footage, which, you know, kind of is a gray area with the law, whether that's legal or not. Anyway, they just give you that option in case someone's just straight up ripping your content and reposting it. So you can take it down.
There's an intentional muddying of this water. Then that's what I'm.
Yeah, it's a very gray area. So if someone uses your video, you can take it down, whether it's fair use or not, a lot of times just to silence them.
And so then in the meantime, while this is being hashed out, should it land on, yeah, man, that was illegal for you to do, would he be compensated for revenue lost during this time?
Yeah, actually, because it goes through like what happens if you claim someone else's video, you can appeal it. And the appeal process is basically kind of bullshit. Like, they just gives them an option to like drop it or not. And then if they don't drop it, then you go to a third level, which is basically like, all right, either you sue me and take me to court, or the video stays up and I keep the money, basically.
And what we all know, or what I can disclose, is even when you win your judgment in court, you ain't getting shit unless you pursue. So even though you get the judgment, you're not getting anything. In nothing. So Zach Hample will ruin Fuzzy's ability to make money on that.
Not Fuzzy. Fuzzy's producer.
It's not Fuzzy.
Or Fuzzy's producer. He will then tell Fuzzy's producer, it's not going away. I am keeping it down unless you want to sue me and pursue this. So really, Joe, it feels like you could do this and just be an asshole every day and force people to either follow through and go to that third level and all the headaches that go along with that, or force those people to just wear it and take it. And you can say to them, I stole your video and I'm keeping it up and I'm going to make money on it until you sue me. And you're not going to sue me, which means video stays and I keep cashing.
It's actually you got to flip it. It's the opposite. I think right now, it's a copyright removal request, meaning that this video goes down unless Zach Hample drops it. The video is just not going to be on the internet anymore. So that's it. However, this guy could appeal, and if he appeals it twice, then Zach Hample, I believe, has to sue him. And make some legal claim, something through court. I don't know the exact specifics. I'm not a lawyer, but Zach Hample, I believe, has to put in the paperwork to get the video removed. If the guy has the balls to say, like, fuck you, you know, it's going up, I'm keeping it up, which can be risky because no one wants to deal with the lawsuit. That's what it comes down to. Is it worth like however much money you're going to make on this video? Like, you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars in court. It's not going to make up for it's not like, you're going to lose money either way.
If you got a case, you make the person that you're suing pay for everything. So there is money to be made.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to see how this pans out, but pesky talking Zach Hample. I hope these boys, go to court and throw everything at each other. We get the end of it, and this could be a real good learning.
Oh, why can't Zach just, take one on the head or the chin or whatever, however the saying goes?
Because he's the most hated fan. He's tired, man.
He's tired.
Yes, he is. I've watched that act run around the Coliseum.
Yeah. People just throwing shit at him and stuff.
Crazy world out there, man.
Yeah, you got to protect yourself.
Keep your head up.
Yep. This is from Mark Feinzen, who says, one front office executive believes the MLB trade deadline market will, quote, heat up big time this week.
What?
Per multiple sources, the Rays are likely to both buy and sell, while the Mets, Padres, and Twins are amongst the teams firmly in the buyer category. The Mets be buying.
Only one MLB executive feels like the trade deadline is going to heat up the closer we get. That's crazy, man. That's why things have been taking so long, Jared. It's only one dude out there who's like, he's looking at the calendar. He's like, does anybody else realize how close we're getting to this deadline thing?
Yeah. We're pretty close, by the way.
Very close.
Yeah, we're pretty close.
Very close. Days away.
The Mets have the A's made a decision yet on their direction?
Still up in the air, waiting for some things to shake out, I think, divisionally. And then from there, probably have a more clear picture of what the future looks like.
Yep.
So
only 4 games back of the Angels right now. The Angels are in 4th.
Yeah, we're in what I'll call a holding pattern, Jared.
Yeah. Better run differential than the Angels, by the way.
Yep. Well, the
congrats to the Angels, first expansion team to 5,000 wins.
That's huge.
Shout out to Max. I know he's celebrating somewhere, the big 5K. What an honor. 5,000 wins, first expansion.
An honor. Hey, Mike Trout's going to be back soon.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I wish I could be excited.
Does that make the Angels buyers?
Oh, it could be.
Well, what would you be?
I mean, if you're...
I have a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts to say about Mike Trout coming back, and I don't know that they're necessary. Of course, no. But yeah, like I think Mike Trout coming back. What does Mike Trout coming back mean? What could it mean? What does it do for the team? What does it? That's
nothing.
Quite literally, right there. That's the crux of it. That's it. Right? He's going to play games. He's going to be back. But bigger picture wise, what we always talk about Mike Trout and staying in Anaheim has meant is that he's loyal. He wants to finish what he started in the place that it began.
What exactly did he start, Dallas?
His career.
Okay. I mean, he can finish his career anywhere.
But did you miss the part where I said he wants to finish where he started?
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, how much value does that really have? Who at the end of the day is going to care about that?
So that's a great question. The only person that matters to is
Max.
It matters to him and it matters to his family. That's all that's all that matters. And I think we are so far beyond the point of having to even talk about this anymore because he has shown you around every corner that that's who he is. It's real. This is who I am. I'm not doing all these crazy commercials and shit, am I? Because that's not who I am. I haven't allowed them to turn me into your version of the face of baseball because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to live up to every word that I have said and spoken as an Angel in this room, which is when we are a month and a half out of the division with a month and a half left to play, and we have no pursuit of postseason, and I could very well take it to the house. What I'm here to do is show you, Angels players, teammates of mine, teammates that will be a part of the future here, is that's not how we do it here. That's not how I do it here.
But
if I'm healthy,
I'm going to play. It would be totally different if they had won a little bit while he was there, because then he's like, then he can preach the Angel way. Like, this is how we do it around here. Like, to say this is how we do it around here with the Angels is like, all right, yeah, you guys suck.
That's for him. That's his personal perspective, right? Because he can't tell you, Jared, newcomer to the team, hey, we've been shitty. We've had a lot of bad guys around us that haven't worked out. Now that you're here, things are going to be different. But he can't have those conversations. He can't have any conversation like that. So what is he left to do? To show up and just physically perform, physically show you how he wants things to go. And so if he's the sounding board for every new player to come to and every young player to watch, then that's all he can do. And that's what this is about.
I just think that when his career is finally over, if he stays in Anaheim the entire time, that very few people, like I get it from his perspective. If he's like, yeah, like I'm loyal to the Angels and like they gave me this opportunity and, you know, they did right by me and all the extensions, like they paid me basically free agent money without me having to go to free agency. And it's been a great two-way relationship. And, you know, I was loyal till the end, and maybe that wasn't reciprocated. Maybe I only played in one playoff series and it was a decade ago, but I was loyal and I stayed in the same place during a time where stars move all over the place all the time. I don't know that like many fans are going to like respect that the way that.
Well, what does he care about that though? Like
that's what I'm saying is like, he doesn't have to care, and he probably does. He definitely doesn't care.
No, he don't give a shit about that.
You make this, I guess, like personal sacrifice to be like, listen, I'm dedicated to the Angels and I'm here for you, the fans, and I want to win here. But then when the day comes where he retires and that just doesn't happen, he doesn't even go to the playoffs again with the Angels. It's like, how many people are going to be like, wow, that was so admirable. Like, they're going to be like, wow, what a fucking waste.
Those are the same people, though. Those are the same people that would look at him and go, oh, bro. Oh, Mr. I want to be an Angel for life. Last 2 years of your career, you fucking sold out. You went and chased the ring. Thought you wanted to be this big, bad organizational dude. Those are the same people. The same people would be calling him a fucking sellout if he went and signed somewhere else in pursuit of a ring.
I don't think people would call him a sellout because it's not like he'd be leaving in the prime of his career. If he made the decision if he was like Mr. Angel for the first 6-7 years of his career, and then he left in his late 20s, early 30s, then it's like, all right, you're a fucking sellout. But if he's 35 years old and is like, all right, like I've only got a couple of years left, my body's breaking down, I really would just like love to be on a championship team in any capacity that I can be. Maybe there will be some upset Angel fans, but I think most of them would be like, dude, go get your fucking ring, man. Like, go do it. Like you've given us enough. You've given us great memories, and we did wrong by you by not building around you. I don't know how many fans would call him a sellout at that point. They'd be like, go get your ring, dude.
Well, it's not necessarily selling out. It's what I'm saying is their opinion of him. These same people who've been like, bro, really? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? When he leaves, those same people would be like, see, told you you wanted to leave, told you weren't going to be able to get it done there. So like, there's just no winning with those people. No winning whatsoever. You're not going to be able to please anybody. So fuck all of them. That's how I look at it.
Are we that sure that he's like that wants to stay that bad? I feel like he just signed that contract. Now he's stuck in the contract unless they trade him. But if they traded him, would he would he just be like, no, I want to stay?
I don't know.
I just feel like he's stuck because he's kind of untradeable at this point. And he keeps getting hurt every year and has a massive contract. Like, I'm not sure like that Mike Trout, if they trade a Mike Trout tomorrow to the whatever team, the Mariners, you think he says, nah, I'm not waiving the no trade clause. I want to stay in Anaheim.
I just feel like the conversation has exhausted itself over the last 5-6 years. I feel like we've had this conversation so many times. Nothing ever changes. And I refuse to like fight on Mike Trout's behalf when I don't think he cares to be defended that way. Like, I don't think that it's not a fight that he cares to even have. So it's like, all right, if you're just going to be an Angel for life, be an Angel for life. Like I've moved on. And the best part about it is, when Mike Trout first came up and he was winning these MVPs, or he was getting screwed out of MVPs in the beginning and then actually started winning the MVPs, like he was the unequivocal face of Major League Baseball. And now there's just so many different options. Like there's so many interchangeable pieces that could be considered the face of baseball, to where I don't care if Mike Trout wants to be that guy anymore. Like before, it was frustrating. It's like, man, like we got to get this guy to the playoffs. Like the Angels got to step up, or, he's got to request a trade. I don't care. And that part of it does suck, I guess, that I just don't care about like what happens to the remainder of Mike Trout's career. But I'm just being honest. Like, I don't care. Like, I've kind of just gravitated towards I find Bryce Harper's career arc now far more interesting than Mike Trout's. Like Bryce Harper's career arc, going from the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16 to now being one of the face of Philly franchise and getting to the playoffs now annually. And eventually I'd like to think that he's going to get over the hump and Bryce Harper's going to win his championship. Like shit like that. Like I'm just more interested in that because you can tell Bryce wants to win. You can't really say that about Mike Trout.
Well, they're just, they show their desires very differently. You have one guy in Mike Trout who, like, if you ever had an example of what old school guys mean when they say, act like you've been there before and plays the game the right way, it's Mike Trout, right? If he hits it 332 feet down the line off the base of the foul pole,
I don't need him to be showy, though. That's not what I'm saying. I don't need him to be showy.
This is all personality wise. Like, this is inherent. This is who these guys are, and they're just so very different that I think Mike Trout gives off some of those vibes at times. Like, does he care? And we know the answer to that, but you've never ever at any point in time questioned that, unless your name's Jonathan Papelbon. And when it comes to Bryce Harper, right? Like, you've had a pretty good idea of what this dude wants to get done on the baseball field every day. It just comes out and it looks and it feels very differently from two very different perspectives. I think the Bryce Harper career arc thing is interesting simply because this was a guy who left the franchise that couldn't have been anything that they wanted to be without him, and then very quickly won a World Series without him. And it was almost like we were sensing, well, Bryce, were you part of the issue that couldn't get it done in DC? I mean, not productivity wise, but their ability to maneuver and blah, blah, blah. So you leave town, Nats win. What does your future look like now, Bryce? Well, he's the face of the fucking Phillies. And as we've talked about, should he be able to get over the hump and put a ring on it? I don't know that there's many people who would take the career of Mike Trout over the career of Bryce Harper.
Yeah. Also, the Phillies had a losing record the season before he got there. So it's not even like he was, not to throw shade at anyone that chooses to go to the Dodgers, but it's like Dodgers are a pretty popular pick. Like, if you're a free agent and you want to win, it's like that's where you're probably going to go. The Phillies were a game or two under 500 the year before Bryce got there. He was just like, this is where I want to be. No opt-outs. Like, it's just shit that, like, yeah, like he left the Nats, but he got a bag, but he chose no opt-outs, and he signed with a team that was like, yeah, we're going to build around you. And maybe we're coming off a disappointing season, but we're going to get there. And he believed that, and he became a part of the reason why they got there.
So I'm with you mostly that the Trout thing has exhausted itself, which is why I've stayed mostly quiet during this conversation. But you stumbled into the point that I wanted to make there, or led me perfectly to it, which is that I think more than a reflection of who these individuals are, they were failed or served by their teams and their front offices. Bryce Harper didn't pick the Phillies because he had some incredible, and it did work out for him, and he chose correctly. Bryce Harper mostly chose the Phillies because they offered him the most money. Think about, like, we got to remember when Harper signed. It wasn't November. It wasn't December. It was spring training has commenced. Time for Bryce Harper to get into camp, sort of thing. And the Phillies offered him the most money, and that has been an incredible relationship, mutually beneficial for the two of them. Mike Trout also, at the time, took the most money and has been fundamentally failed, A, by his own health, which has been covered, but also by multiple front offices and one single ownership that have consistently failed him at basically every single turn as it relates to roster building, other than signing Shohei Ohtani. Like, basically every other decision that they made. Remember that famous draft that the Angels did a couple of years ago? I think it was all COVID pitchers. Or the year after, where it was pitchers. All pitchers, and it was designed, we're gonna replenish our system with pitchers. They're gonna help the major league team. You know what that draft class is considered now? A clear-cut, unequivocal failure. And something no one else will ever replicate again, at least anytime soon. So that's just the only thing I want to say, that I less of a human condemnation on Mike Trout as a man or Bryce Harper, who I love as a player, than it is that Dave Dombrowski has done a fantastic job for Bryce Harper during his time there. And every single GM that Mike Trout has ever had during the prime of his career has done largely a terrible job.
Wow. We have a video from Fuzzy. Do we want to play this?
Yeah, let's hear it. I mean, fuck, we started the conversation.
Yeah.
Like we can't ignore that.
People were tagging us in the initial tweet, and I was like, buddy, it's already been covered on the podcast in real time. This just got dropped.
This man right here, Zach Hample, needs to be stopped. He is bullying creators on YouTube. I do not take kindly to bullies. Zach Hample sent a copyright strike to my editor. I bet you didn't know he was my editor, Zach. You thought you could just bully a small creator. So my editor, Pesky Talk, has his own channel. He created a video, a review on Zach Hample's career. He titled it, Baseball's Most Hated Fan. It was fair use, and the precedent has already been set on fair use and reaction content. Zach, if you need a refresher, back in 2017, it was determined that you cannot strike a YouTube video down simply because it hurt your feelings. The precedent has been set. Remove the strike immediately. I mean, unless you want your entire YouTube account deleted, because if you sent a false copyright strike, your account can go bye-bye. Bye-bye forever. Absolutely unbelievable. This is a sin. This is a YouTube sin. You don't send copyright strikes to other creators. But Zach didn't know that Pesky Talk has me defending him. Shame on you, Zach. You're a bully. This is so bad.
Wow, strong words from Fuzzy.
Oh, man.
A little worked up. He's a little worked up.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you though, is there any possibility that this is just a bunting in the ninth to break up a perfect game? Is there any sense of that whatsoever? Like you might not like it. All right. And there may have been precedent within the game set on how that's viewed. But at the end of the day, if I'm allowed to do this, are you really just bitter at the end of it all? Or have I done something illegal?
So you're saying that like there's nothing against the rules of what's Zach
I'm
Campbell
not saying
did.
I'm asking. That's why I asked. So because as I just laid out in a game of baseball, bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth, I should say, 2 outs, perfect game, and someone bunts and they get the hit. We all know how people feel about that or how people would feel about that, right? On the whole, again, I'm not telling you that it's right or wrong. I'm not telling you that it's right or wrong. I'm telling you that it's allowed within the confines of the rule book in the game of baseball. So however you feel about it is completely separate from what is legal. So I'm asking, is this really just about Zach Hample bunting in the ninth inning during a perfect game and people are pissed about it and they really don't like it, but it's legal, Joe? But it's legal?
I don't know. It's a gray area. Is it legal or not? I don't think Zach Hample is going to get fucking his channel taken down for doing a removal request, but it comes down to whether or not I haven't watched the video or seen how much clips went into it, but does that fall under fair use? Like you can use someone else's clip if you remix it, put a voice over it, make it different from its original concept, right? So like Zach Hample's vlog footage being used for a few seconds in this guy's video talking about Zach Hample, you would think that's fair use, but it's the most gray area ever. No one really knows. Like you can't just use MLB. Anytime you use MLB's clips on YouTube and you're talking over it, they can strike your shit whenever they want. So
and they have been recently, right?
Not really. They do it every once in a while, but they're pretty liberal with like people using their clips, honestly. So, but I think it's like I'm sure this guy used a bunch of Zach Hample's footage in it. Me personally, as a YouTuber, I fall on the side of like, why, like that should be fair use. You should be able to do it. I think you should chill out with that. So is it allowed? I guess technically it's allowed, but Zach Hample isn't a fair use expert either. So he can say like, I thought it was stealing my content, so I freaking flagged it down. And you're not going to take my channel down because I thought it was fair use. Then it's not fair use, whatever. But at the end of the day, Zach Hample, probably shouldn't have done that. That's pretty fucking not that smart. I mean, I think I looked at the screenshot. It was like 7 seconds of his video. It's an obvious, like, this guy's making a video about me that probably makes me look bad. I have the power to take it down because he used some of my footage. So I'm going to do that. And he might have an argument that it is not fair use because of blah, 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 blah. But like, if you set that precedent and you can just take anyone's video down because they use 3 seconds of your content, newsflash, the internet and all the videos you like every single day, it's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot less.
So would the natural reaction be to then provide multiple instances of videos who are using similar material like this and even more egregiously so to defend this guy and go, look, you struck my video using all of 7 to 10 seconds of shit. Here's 5 examples of them using significantly more of your videos and you've done nothing to them. Why?
Yeah. I mean, I've used Zach Campbell's vlog footage in my videos. I never got my shit taken down. He never came after the big
there
dog.
you have it. So now from here, does YouTube have any interest in trying to weed out guys like this who create this sort of disturbance?
They definitely have the system in place that makes this harder to do as hard as possible because they want people using fair use content and remixing content. They like that shit because it makes more videos, more entertaining shit. Like if it wasn't for that, my channel couldn't exist, because I don't own any of the footage I use. I'm using other clips. And if anyone could just easily say, use 3 seconds of my vlog, I'm taking your whole 30-minute video essay down because I own that. Now I make all the money from your 30-minute video because I own 3 seconds of footage in it. That's terrible for the platform and people can't post and make new videos and stuff. So the system in place itself, YouTube themselves aren't going to step in and say, Zach Hample, why are you ruining Pesky Talk's life? This is a tragedy. But like they said, kid, Pesky Talk, could easily just appeal it twice and nothing would happen. It would probably just stay up unless Zach Hample wants to sue him and take him to court.
Well, that's the move. That's the move, Pesky, is do it again, right? Or let him do it again and then force him to sue you.
I want to see it in court, man. You want to go to the Supreme Court. I want to see Zach Hample versus Pesky, Supreme Court. And we're going to get to the bottom of this.
We talked about this on Section 10 before, but why does every Red Sox content creator, it's Pesky something? There's a million like Pesky podcasts and channels and everything. It's like, I love Johnny Pesky. Great man. Got the chance to meet him. Loved Kowloon. But every like Red Sox media entity ties Pesky into it in some way, shape, or form. It's crazy. When I was working at a marketing firm, and the guy that I was working for, he's a big Red Sox fan, and he wanted to like collab on a website together, and we called it Pesky's Polls, where it was a Red Sox poll website. I was like, that's creative. That's creative. But there's just so many different like we need to get more creative with our Red Sox content media brands. Everything's just Pesky. That's my thought on it.
And he's not even make videos about the Red Sox, dude. And he stole Jayhay's video. He's got a whole video about how baseball's worst player is now underrated. Duran. You got a response to that, Jayhay? He stole your video topic.
Who did?
Pesky Talk. He stole it. So you're on Zach.
Maybe I should slap that bitch with a little
wow.
YouTube.
Nobody talks
creator.
about Jaron Duran.
Yeah, I line myself with Hample. That'll be good.
No, wow.
Actually, this might have came out before yours. So,
oh shit, maybe he's gonna slap me.
I
think Jaron Duran personally thanked me for during the All-Star Game MVP speech. So I think we're all set on who
he did say that.
Yep.
I heard.
Don't play the clip. Do not play the clip. Let's just move on.
It was in the Spanish speaking interview.
Oh, that's right.
He said in Spanish. Okay. Yeah. I heard Jayhay.
Yes,
make out the rest of it. Yeah. I am gonna piss my pants if I don't go to the bathroom right now. There's one topic left, so why don't we do Jayhay's Nuggs right now, and then we'll come back and finish with that last topic. And so I'm sorry. I'm gonna rewatch the podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say
these Nuggs. Yeah, I don't want to miss them. But
no, go pee, and this will give you something to look forward to a little later. We do have Nuggs, of course.
Give it to me.
Yep, let's do it. Shohei Ohtani last night became the 5th player in Dodgers franchise history to have a season with 30 home runs, 25 doubles, and 20 stolen bases. He joins Pedro Guerrero, who did so twice, Raul Mondesi, who also did so twice, Sean Green, and 2011 NL MVP Matt Kemp. Jarren Duran, speak of the devil, 5th player in franchise history. He reached his 30th double last night, which is what triggered this. 5th player in franchise history to have 30 doubles, 10 homers, 10 triples, and 20 stolen bases in a season, joining Speaker, a guy named Billy Werber, Nomar, and Johnny Damon. Hayden Birdsong did a very rare thing yesterday.
Chugging it.
Yep, he had a 12 strikeout game at Coors Field. We hear all about how hard it is to pitch there. Hayden Birdsong said, fuck that. He is the 8th visiting pitcher ever to have a 12 strikeout game or more at Coors Field, joining Pedro in 97, Randy Johnson in 2001. He actually did so twice that season. Oliver Perez, in 2002, Aaron Harang in 06, Freddie Peralta in 2018, DeGrom in 21, and Blake Snell last season. So congrats to Hayden Birdsong. Byron Buxton joins. He had another multi-home run game yesterday. And oddly enough, despite playing for an AL team, both of his multi-homer games this season have come against NL opponents. And he's the only the 2nd Twin ever, joining Torrey Hunter in 2005 as the only players in Twins franchise history to have multiple multi-homer games against NL opponents in the same season. Very specific nug there. Michael King, pretty straightforward. He's got a 2.52 ERA over his last 14 starts with 95 strikeouts and 22 walks. Shota Imanaga took a no decision yesterday, despite having a line of 7 innings pitched, 1 run, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. He's the 6th Cubs pitcher in the wild card era to have such a start and receive a no decision, joining Justin Steele in 22, Yu Darvish in 2019, Carlos Zambrano twice, 6 years apart, once in 2005 and then again in 2011. And then Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood had starts like that in 2004. Sunday was the Hall of Fame. So congrats to Todd Helton, Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Jim Leland. I have a nugget on each of the players. Todd Helton is one of 4 players in Major League Baseball history to record consecutive seasons with 400 or more total bases, which he did in both 2000 and 2001. The 3 other players to do so are Lou Gehrig, Chuck Klein, and Jimmy Fox. Adrian Beltre is one of 5 players in MLB history with at least 400 homers, 600 doubles, and 100 stolen bases, along with Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Carl Yastrzemski, and Albert Pujols. And Joe Mauer. The interesting thing about Joe Mauer is that, not to relitigate his whole Hall of Fame thing all over again, because he's in and nobody can take that away from him. But it seemed like people would use like, oh, he spent X percentage of his career at first base or DH, and that juiced his overall numbers or whatever. Many ways you can demonstrate that's not the case, but this is one of them. He had a .328 batting average as a catcher. His batting average as a catcher was higher than it was at any other position. No other player in MLB history hit higher than even .320 as a catcher over their career. That's a minimum of 2,000 plate appearances, so it's a pretty low plate appearance threshold as well. So nobody ever put bat to ball like Joe Mauer did while playing catcher. Just wanted to hammer that home. Some rapid fire nugs in terms of Monday starting pitchers. Cole Reagans, 2.39 ERA over his last 11 starts after a 4.22 ERA through his first 9 this season. Other way around, Tanner Houck looking to right the ship a little bit. After a 1.91 ERA through his first 13 starts, he has a 4.22 over his last 6. That, of course, does not include the scuffling in the All-Star game. Ranger Suarez had a 1.75 ERA through his first 15 starts of the season. I think we all knew this would regress somewhat. He has a 7.06 ERA over his last 4, looking to get back on track. Hunter Green started the season with a 4.55 ERA through his first 5 starts. Would the breakout ever come? It has come. He made the All-Star team. He also has a 2.94 ERA with batters hitting just 183 against him over his last 14 starts. Exact opposite sort of situation. Carlos Rodon, whose 4.63 ERA is damn near identical to his 4.67 FIP now through 20 starts, has a 9.67 ERA over his last 6 starts after a 2.93 ERA through his first 14 starts of the season. And finally, Tarik Skubal pitches today against the Guards. Skubal is just, I know we're used to his greatness at this point, even though it hasn't been that long. But if you go back to September of last season, he's now on a 24 start stretch where he has a 2.09 ERA with 183 strikeouts and 25 walks. Okay. Here are all of the pitchers in Major League history who have ever had a 24 start span with an ERA of 2.10 or lower, at least 180 strikeouts, and 25 or fewer walks. Skubal, Scherzer, DeGrom, Gerrit Cole, Verlander, Kluber, Clayton Kershaw, Pedro Martinez. You may recognize all of those previous people as winners of the Cy Young, if not multi-time winners of the Cy Young. So Skubal may be on that path, but he's truly on one of the great heaters that we've seen from really any pitcher, and certainly any left-handed pitcher, basically other than Clayton Kershaw in the history of baseball. So those are the Nugs, and I hope you had enough time to relieve yourself.
I did. Huge.
It was a hefty nug. It was a hefty Nug pack today.
It was. Well, Skubal a Tiger for how long?
Yeah, so I mean, that was the last topic on the list here. Was that the Tigers?
Look at that, dude. Look at that producing, man.
That is just, he threw it right up. He windmill dunked it for us.
Fuck.
The Tigers have scouts at the Orioles AAA games. And we all know that there are some talented white boys down there. And the Orioles prospects, they can't all play in the big leagues, right? Like eventually the Orioles are going to have a full roster of these fluffy-haired fucks, and they're not going to be able to call them up anymore, which means that they have a surplus to deal from. And what they choose to do with that surplus, not sure. But it is of note that the Detroit Tigers are poking around in AAA Norfolk. Do you, Justin Havens, think that a Skubal trade is on the horizon and that Baltimore makes the most sense as a landing spot?
Yes and yes. I'm of two minds of this. I think that in a cold, logical way, with where the Tigers are, the rest of the roster, the risks that Skubal inherently has as a not exactly a picture of health at 27 years old. Like, yes, they probably should trade him for the maximum amount of return. His value will never get higher than it is right now. So I'm with that line of thinking. I also think that the Orioles are the best landing spot. They have the extra prospect capital that they could trade without seriously denting either their major league team or their immediate hopes of long-term contention or medium-term contention. He would be a beautiful fit atop that rotation with Corbin Burns. But I also, just as an aside, not to do a whole thing, but it's just fucking crazy that the Tigers did an entire rebuild following, sort of what we'll call the Miguel Cabrera era, a whole cycle. And if they trade Tarik Skubal, that's basically admitting that they need basically another whole cycle, if not a half cycle, of rebuilding to get to where they need to be. So we're going to basically, by the time the Tigers are truly relevant again, if they trade Tarik Skubal, we'll have basically gone on a decade of multiple rebuilds, which is just, and this is the gem of the rebuild. Him and Riley Green are the two gems, and they're going to trade him, and they probably should. It's probably the smart move, but that's a condemnation of their team and what they've done to this point as much as it is about Skubal or the buyers.
Well, the good news is you're going to give Javi Baez almost $30 million for the next 2 years.
Did you see?
That sucks, but that's not that wasn't fundamentally changing where the team is at right now. That deal obviously stinks and has been a disaster, but he could have been an all-star and this team would still not be where it needs to be.
Did I see somewhere that Javi Baez has the lowest OPS for a qualified hitter in MLB history? Like this many games into a season?
You're saying like if he remains qualified over the remainder of the season, that it would be the lowest OPS by a qualified batter? Is that the idea?
I thought it was like the lowest OPS in baseball history for a player that is qualified for the batting title like X amount of games into the season.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he qualifies now because he's at only 61 games and 222 plate appearances. So they may that may be a quote unquote mercy killing or benching for Baez, because
for that reason.
I think you're onto something though, Jared, because a 451 OPS in that amount of playing time that's real bad, man. That's real bad.
The lowest right now qualified hitter OPS is Orlando Arcia, has a 578 OPS. And Javi Baez has a 451.
I'm looking up to see
131 points, folks.
I'm looking up to see the lowest OPS by somebody who got at least 200 plate appearances in a season. We'll do OPS plus since this offensive era is a little wonky right now. All right, let's see. Because he's got a 27 OPS plus, which that's real bad too. No number. All right. So in the wild card era, a 27 OPS plus would be the 13th worst for any player who received 200 plate appearances in the wild card era. I'm not going to have anybody guess, but the worst single season for anybody that received 200 plate appearances in the wild card era is former mega prospect himself, Brandon Wood.
Jayhay, I would have absolutely nailed that because I watched this dude go from hitting home runs in Salt Lake City. He hit 50 fucking homers in the minor leagues one year. And we're like, okay, this is going to be a fucking problem for this is what the Halos have coming up. This fucking dude to sandwich in between all the other shit they've got going on right now.
Dude, that was probably the peak of my like prospect fandom obsession. I was getting the Baseball America and Baseball Prospectus books every year. Like, so according to this, he peaked at the number 3 prospect in the game pre-2006 on Baseball America. To your point, he hit 43 home runs with a 1047 OPS across 2 levels, Rancho Cucamonga and Salt Lake. In 2005, and then proceeded in the season that I'm talking about to hit 146 with a 382 OPS and 71 strikeouts and 243 plate appearances. Good for a 6 OPS plus. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, who knew that Brandon Wood would get a drive-by on this podcast?
Yeah, that's a stray.
Tough break, brother.
Hang in there, Woody.
I mean, poor Javi Baez. It's like, hey, the Tigers going to trade Skubal? Man, does Javi Baez suck.
By the way, here's how much he sucks.
Historically bad. Like, shouldn't be in the big leagues anymore bad.
Well, as a neutral fan of the game, too, or a fan of baseball, I think we should all want to see Tarek Skubal traded at the deadline. I think that would be very exciting if you put him on the Orioles or really any contending team that's got serious aspirations. We want to see pitchers that are dominating like Skubal is dominating get to perform during the stretch run and potentially in the postseason. Like that's, I all due respect to the Tigers, like you had your chance with Skubal. I want him on another team at this point. So,
yep.
Yeah, and then you get Jackson Holliday and Max Clark on the same team, and Detroit, come on.
Max Clark, my guy. All right. Any other thoughts, Dallas?
Nope. Just going to try to enjoy the last couple weeks, last week or so of some guys on our team. About it. That's it. If your team is not in contention right now, and it doesn't look like they're going to be, take this time to celebrate the players that you have, the players that have been able to make an impact on your team that are probably going to be making an impact on somebody else's team. Wish them well. Enjoy it. That's really all I got.
It's going to be a sad day and a series of many sad days.
Yeah. Also, you take this time.
You said you had no final thoughts.
Jay Willie.
Oh yeah.
Is he out?
What's the update on the injury there? Is it not serious? I'm hoping.
It's not great.
Oh,
I've been telling you all about Jay Willie's hamstring.
It's not. It's not.
I've been
great.
telling you about it.
Jay Willie hamstring. Jay Willie has been hamstrung.
Yeah, good one. That's good.
Yeah. So, but first knock.
Get well soon.
That means Zay's got to go out and make a move. You got to fill in that gap in that lineup. You got to place a lot of pop.
Surprised they weren't in the market for Whit Merrifield.
Hey,
it just doesn't fit what we're trying to do.
No,
we can make a deal.
I think he does fit what you're trying to do. Actually, in these baseball games.
No, we're with it. We're winning games.
I have a final thought.
Proceed, Justin Haven.
Paul Skeens is pitching tomorrow. Always worth mentioning. So he will have pitched before we podcast again. He's against the Cardinals. This will be his second start against the Cardinals. He faced them on June 11th and had 6 1/3 scoreless with 5 hits, 0 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So, a pedestrian little performance for Paul Skeens the last time he played the Cardinals. But I'm looking forward to that. That's my final thought.
Joseph?
How about Hunter Green versus Ronaldo Lopez? I'm looking forward to that. That's a huge matchup tonight. But also I wanted to touch on, I just got the tweet that is a pretty cool tweet. Jesse Moore, doctor. He's a doctor, MD, real doctor. He's a doctor because he says it in his bio. And apparently there's been 4 players in the past 2 years who have gotten the same injury as Max Fried. Yimi Garcia missed 1 month. Garrett Whitlock missed 1 month. Ben Joyce missed 3 months. And Josh Simpson has missed 115 days while counting.
Oh, boy.
So we're going to average that to about, 2.5 months? 3 months?
I think we're going to average that to like a week or 2.
Yeah, missing a start.
He might miss a start or 2.
He's throwing a side right now, Joe, actually. If you turn it on MLB Network, they got ballpark cam on. Max Fried is throwing a bullpen.
So if you trust the reporting and you trust that the Braves aren't lying about this injury and you look at historical past 2 years, he'll miss at least a month based on that. And but I wouldn't be surprised if it's less, to be honest. He did an interview and he said everything looks great structurally, just irritated a sensory nerve, not like one of the major muscle functioning nerves. And if you're like a guy like me who knows a lot about nerves, it's way better to hurt a sensory nerve than a muscle functioning nerve. Dodged a bullet.
We call that Joe getting on our nerves.
Come on.
Shit.
Nervous energy.
My final thought. Today is the 2-year anniversary of Jarren Duran losing a ball in the lights. Raimel Tapia inside the park grand slam. What a turnaround. You can watch all about that on our YouTube channel. Justin Havens did a YouTube video about Jarren Duran and his come up. And the star has only continued to shine brighter since that video was posted.
He's doing his part.
All-Star Game MVP. Comes out in the second half, has a monster series against the Dodgers in a series in which the Red Sox were swept, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Jake's takes?
Just really looking forward to the trial of Zach Hample. I think it'll be some good off-season content.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we get Joe in as an expert YouTube witness.
I like that.
It'd be pretty fun.
I like that.
I wonder if he's going to strike us for using court footage.
Maybe.
Do I send the video? Do I send the video to Fuzzy?
I mean, you could.
Yes.
I wouldn't. I've never met that man. I wouldn't trust him with something like that.
That's true. All right. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you then.
Wow.